Okay, all right. I have a very specific answer to this question. I grew up in conservative Christian evangelicalism in America, and I can specifically speak to the experience of growing up as a woman in the church. And I have a very specific story that illustrates this point beautifully. And I'm sure many women who grew up in the same culture, like the same kind of setup, conservative Christian evangelicalism, will agree that this is an accurate portrayal of what it's like to grow up as a girl in the church. So I went to private Christian school, right? It was nothing super crazy. It was actually pretty mainstream. But in the 4th grade, we had a contest. We did this thing called Accelerated Reader, or AR, where you would read books and then you would take a test on the book to prove that you actually read it, and you would get points for that. Now, fun fact about me, I was a complete and utter bookworm during school. I like to joke that I didn't have friends growing up. I had books, and there was a girl that would sit and watch me read at recess, but that's another story for another time. Anyway, so we found out that we were going to be doing this competition with AR points, and the boys begged me to temporarily become a boy because they knew I already had like hundreds of AR points. Like, you would get 2 or 3 points for doing a book. I had hundreds. The librarian literally had me writing the tests because I read so much that I blew it out of the water. So anyways, the setup was I think it was for a month, we would see who could get the most AR points, boys or girls. It was boys versus girls. And then whichever group won, the other gender would be their servant for the day. Right? We already knew, the entire class knew, because I was a girl, the girls were going to win. And again, the boys literally begged me to temporarily become a boy so they could win. The girls ended up winning, obviously. Like, toot my own horn here. Toot, toot. And so the school somehow was not anticipating this and was like, hold on a minute. We can't have the boys serving the girls. Girls are supposed to serve boys. That's what the Bible says. So we're actually, even though the girls won, we're going to give the prize to the boys because we can't set this precedent that boys serve girls. It's the other way around. And I remember this so distinctly because I was so upset that I had to go to school the next day and give my prize to the boys, serve the boys, purely because we were girls and they were boys. I literally stood in the rain trying to get sick so I didn't have to go to school the next day because I was so upset about it. And that is a perfect illustration of what I was taught growing up. Girls were meant to serve boys. Boys were the leaders. Boys were the important ones. Boys were the ones we had to watch out for. And we as girls, we were just made to serve and be helpers. Fun fact, the word actually that God uses to describe helpers, as in women's relationship with men, is the same word he uses to describe himself in his relationship with Israel. So, yeah, if your argument here is Christians believe women are superior to men, yeah, try telling that to 4th grade Rachel. And I would love for other women who grew up in the church and in Christian school and in this circle to chime in with their experiences. Not to mention all the talks that us girls got about, if you give up your purity, you're like a trampled rose. You're like a piece of paper that's been ripped up. You're like gum that's been chewed. Did the boys get that talk? No. Nope, they didn't. My guy, women were literally considered legal property earlier in our nation's history because of the Bible. Now, when you look at how Jesus interacted with women, that turns everything on its head. My guy, Jesus was a feminist socialist. I don't know if you know that, but if you actually got to know him, if you actually looked at how he interacted with women in a time where women were completely oppressed, again, considered property. Oh my gosh, I got a good laugh out of this. Thank you. I needed that laugh. Yeah. Oh, and one more thing that I forgot to add. There's an active mainstream push right now to take voting rights away from women. Like, that's going on right now. That's not a fringe movement. That's like people who are advisors to the president are like, yes, this is a good idea. Yes, let's do this. Let's repeal that amendment. So that's something that's happening here in America as a result of Christian extremism. Which one is the actual threat to women's rights in America right now? You're right, there is an active threat to women's rights in America in this moment. And it's Christianity, my guy. It's Christian nationalism. So please, for the love of God, spare me your fake outrage about women's rights. Ugh.